So after criticizing Will Smith for his Oscar outburst, Twitter is now slamming Jim Carrey, calling him a hypocrite.
He chose to voluntarily go on Gayle King to talk about the spinelessness of Hollywood and about the horrendousness of Will Smith when he knew that not that long ago he had done something really similar.
Jim Carrey is shading Will Smith over his Chris Rock slap, but Jim Carrey is far from innocent. He has a long history of making young women feel uncomfortable, and in 1997, he assaulted a teenage Alicia Silverstone in front of the entire world. So let's get into it. Let me take you guys back to the 1997 MTV Movie Awards hosted on Tuesday, June 10th in Santa Monica, California. It was a busy day in Hollywood, but there was a moment that went down which has lived on ever since this award show, and it was the disturbing moment where Jim Carrey pretty much essayed Alicia Silverstone while she was 19 in front of the entire world. People love to say that back in the day it was a different time and that this behavior was acceptable, but I don't think this was ever okay. At this point, Jim Carrey was 35 years old and Alicia was only 19. While going up to accept his award, he decided to plant a big kiss on Alicia without her permission or her consent. Jim Carrey got up to accept his award for his role in The Cable Guy. As he got onto stage, he grabbed Alicia's face with both hands and planted a kiss on her mouth. Alicia then stepped aside and you could tell that she was physically uncomfortable with what had just happened. During Jim's speech, he decided to recite some lyrics from the song Bad to the Bone into the microphone and then burp for the audience, which maybe he thought that this was charming behavior, but everything is giving me major red flags. So Jim gets up to accept his award for Best Comedic Performance, and as you guys can see, he's walking up so confident and happy, and The Cable Guy was a hit, and watch him just like grab her by the face. She's like literally pushing him. Okay, we have to back it up. Look at him like forcefully pushing himself onto her, and you could tell that she doesn't like it because she starts to back away immediately. I mean, she even grabs her hand from the award and like tries to push him off of her. This is so disturbing, and the fact that he thought this was okay is next level. I mean, look at her face right there. Look how uncomfortable she looks in that moment. And like he's over here like winking and being like, I'm a hot shot. Like, oh no. I really think that this moment needs to be in the history books because this type of behavior is not okay. Let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say. Bad. Bad to the bone.
I don't mean to cause any waves, but this popcorn is stale. The first one didn't agree with me at all.
Look how uncomfortable she looks off to the side, kind of like, was I just like essayed in front of the entire world by this like man who's like 15 years older than me?
I do appreciate it though. You know, when The Cable Guy came out, I got a lot of criticism about it being too dark. Ooh, it's not the regular Jim Carrey fare. But I'm not bitter. I would like to thank you. I really would. I really appreciate the validation for this character, and I will think of this award. No. Same speech, over and over.
Will Smith.
No, I really do. I appreciate this, and just for the encouragement for my larva stage. And I'm looking forward to the day when I will be captured by the Hollywood net and stuck to the wall with a pin for future generations to enjoy. Thank you very much.
It's just like, was that funny? Like I can get like sometimes Jim Carrey has been funny, but was that funny at all? Because none of it was funny to me. Like, is he on something? Like, why did he grab this woman in front of everyone? I can't imagine how Alicia felt in that moment because she's been through so much in Hollywood already. I mean, when she was 15 years old, she recounts a bunch of different things that she went through. People who tried to harm her, took advantage of her. When she was in her teens, she was developing as a woman, and photographers would call her fat and call her names. Her entire self-esteem was destroyed by the media and by the public. And I can't imagine at this point, at 19 years old, still having this shit happen to you publicly. And it's like, it was just considered okay back then. Someone wrote on social media that it's amazing that Jim Carrey can SA Alicia Silverstone by physically forcing her to kiss him on national television and had literally no impact on his career whatsoever. He's a complete piece of S on so many levels. But when it comes to Jim Carrey and his career, they're right. He didn't get any backlash for this, and he actually won pretty big that night. He ended up winning 3 awards at this one award show. Another person wrote that Jim Carrey should be jailed for essaying a teenage Alicia on stage at the MTV Awards and then also trying to SA Will Smith at the same time. We need to talk about this moment because it's true. Later on in the night, Jim tried to get a little bit physical with Will Smith, which we don't have a video clip of, but there are tons of pictures of Jim trying to kiss Will Smith at some point. I guess like they went up to go and accept the award for best kiss, and this went down. And obviously everyone's kind of like, what is going on here, Jimmy boy? I mean, look at him trying to go after Will Smith so aggressively. Also, is his tongue very long? Like, look how long his tongue is. And Alicia just had that down her throat. Like, oh, I feel so sorry for her. He forcibly kissed Alicia and tried to do the same to Will Smith. Regardless of age or age gaps, what Jim Carrey did was assault. He's scum, and he had no business forcing himself on people. You guys are probably wondering, why are we talking about this situation? This is old news, Sloan. But this whole moment was trending all over again because after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, Jim Carrey went public and had some choice words for Will. But let me quickly remind you of that moment where Will smacked Chris because it was pretty iconic.
Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow.
And by iconic, I mean not okay. Not in a good way. Like, it's iconic, like we were all talking about that when it happened. And Jim Carrey was talking about it as well. Jim spoke to Gayle King and he went on to Good Morning America to pretty much trash Will Smith. He said that he was sickened and that he was sickened by the standing ovation. When Will went back to accept an award like 10 minutes later, he got a standing ovation and Jim didn't like that.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
Jim Carrey weighing in on Will Smith's Oscar controversy during a new interview with Gayle King for CBS Mornings.
They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous.
Jim was quoted saying that Hollywood is just spineless. It really felt like a clear indication that we're not in the cool club anymore. Interesting. I mean, interesting to hear someone say that because, of course, all these celebrities do feel like they're in the cool club. But now Jim doesn't feel that way because Will just tarnished everything with that slap, which let me remind you that he essayed Alicia publicly. It's not much worse than that. And because Jim was so vocal about Will, people started to bring up his past, which again isn't pretty. Critics called Jim a hypocrite and scum for calling Will out when he himself essayed Alicia on stage, like we said.
So after criticizing Will Smith for his Oscar outburst, Twitter is now slamming Jim Carrey, calling him a hypocrite. I love this story. After footage from the 1997 MTV Movie Music Awards resurfaced, showing Jim smooch a then 20-year-old Alicia Silverstone without her consent, Twitter also remembered this moment from the same night where Jim Carrey tried to, quote, forcefully kiss Will Smith. Carrey hasn't commented on the footage, but this all comes following his surprise announcement yesterday that he'll probably retire after the release of his latest film, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
As you guys know, Chris Rock decided not to press charges on Will, which I think was a smart move because like Will got enough like public backlash for this. But Jim said simply that wasn't enough and that he would sue Will for $200 million, which again is very aggressive for someone who doesn't have a clean slate. And there are a couple of other bad moments that Jim Carrey has been a part of that I want to share with you guys. During an appearance on the Graham Norton Show in 2020, Jim made a comment about Margaret Robbie and it made her feel awkward afterwards because he was pretty much just like attributing her success to her looks. He said, "You're really something," he told the actress. "It's incredible you got as far as you have with your obvious physical disadvantages. That's pure talent there." So pretty much trying to say that like the only reason that you are an actress is because you're so beautiful, which I guess is like a backhanded compliment.
You know, it's great. Everybody's in the mix. You're amazing, and I'm so excited for you. It's incredible that you've gotten as far as you have with your obvious physical disadvantages. That's just pure talent there.
So Margaret handled it well. I mean, she seemed a little uncomfortable, but honestly, like, does Jim seem like he was coming from a bad place? It wasn't as bad as that Alicia clip, but I wanted to include it because it is a little bit degrading and it seems like he does constantly talk down to women. That same year, Jim Carrey made a UK journalist uncomfortable because he was promoting a film for Sonic and there was a bucket list in there and the journalist asked Jim, like, do you have anything else on your bucket list? I mean, you've done so much. Is there anything left? And he responded by saying, "Just you," which is a little bit freaky. She really didn't know what to say to that. And look how uncomfy she was.
Carrey has raised some eyebrows with his response to one question during a Sonic the Hedgehog interview. Heat Magazine's Charlotte Long asked him about his bucket list, and his answer has some offended.
And in the film, Sonic has a bucket list. And I was wondering, after all you've done in your career and in your life, is there anything still left on your bucket list?
Just you.
Wow.
That's it. It's all done now.
I don't know what to say to that.
I know. Just own it.
So some people would look at that moment and call it charming and others would call it creepy. And I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below because I don't think it's like the worst thing, obviously, but I do think that there is a pattern here. There's also been a few moments where he has tweeted out some things against like vaccines and things like that. And honestly, I'm not the type of person who has a huge stance on one way or the other, but he's very much against vaccines. And he has been attributed with sharing a bunch of misinformation about the science on this. Nonetheless, there is another story to tell when it comes to Jim, and this story is a lot darker. Once upon a time, back in 2012, Jim Carrey met a woman named Catriona White. She was an Irish makeup artist, and they were dating on and off until September of 2015, where she took her own life. Catriona's estranged husband, Mark, actually sued Jim Carrey over her death because he had a bunch of prescription pills that she took, and it ultimately led to her passing. There's also a bunch of other layers to this story, like the STIs that he passed to her, the fake stories that he paid for to reshape his image in the media. Honestly, I feel like Jim Carrey got away with murder when it comes to Catriona because it was not time for her to go. She was only 30 years old and he provided her everything she needed to send her off on her way. Whether it was drugs, a place, he screwed her over big time. And we're going to be talking about that in my next video, so keep an eye out for that. But if you guys enjoyed this one, comment below. Here's my email if you have any other video ideas for me, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye guys.